Hello students, in the previous session we were discussing about the chemical cycles, or you can say biogeochemical cycles or nutrient cycling, right? And in this regard we have already discussed one type of cycle. There are basically two different types of nutrient cycling. One is gaseous nutrient cycling and the other is sedimentary nutrient cycling. So one example for gaseous nutrient cycling in this chapter we have already learned is carbon cycle that we have seen in the previous session. And in this session we are going to look at the phosphorus cycle. And phosphorus cycle is what kind of cycle? It is the sedimentary cycle. Yes. So let us look at what the phosphorus cycle talks about. See here, phosphorus is a major constituent of the biological membranes. Phospholipid anta kelidiri alva. So biological membrane is nothing but the plasma membrane, in which the major constituent will be the phospholipid, right? The lipid which will be having the phosphate heads. So that is why it is the major constituent of the biological membranes. Nucleic acids, DNA ಮತ್ತು RNA structure study ಮಾಡಿದಿರಿ, and there will be the phosphate group attached to the third or fifth carbon of the ribose sugar. Yes, and cellular energy transfer systems ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದು? ATP, GTP alva. Cellular energy transfer, cellular energy ge, that means which is the energy currency of the cell, that is ATP, right? In these cases the phosphorus is the major constituent of all these different types of molecules, right? And many animals also need a large quantity of this phosphorus, because to make shells, bones and teeth. Majority of the animals, they require this for various purposes, like for making the bones, shells or teeth. Natural reservoir of the phosphorus is basically the soil, so rock, right? Rock yake, that is why it is called as what? Sedimentary anta karitivi alva. So which is containing phosphorus in the form of phosphates, phosphate ion. Nitrogen is present in the soil in the form of nitrates, right? Carbon is present in the air in the form of carbon dioxide, majority, right? So like that, phosphorus is found in the form of phosphate ions. When rocks are weathered, that means conversion of rock into soil is called weathering of rocks. So minute amounts of these phosphates dissolve in the soil solution and are absorbed by the roots of the plants. See again, when the phosphorus ali weathering of rock agtirodrinda, the phosphates, they are released in the soil. Some amount of these phosphates, they go into the deeper layers of the soil and they form the rock, and they also become the unavailable nutrients, right? Similarly, the phosphates which are present in that soil solution on the surface or just subaerially on the earth, they can be available to the plant body, they can be absorbed by the roots of the plants, right? So herbivores and other animals, they are going to extract, or they are going to get, or they are going to meet the need of the phosphorus to their bodies directly or indirectly from the plants, right? So not only that, the waste products and the dead organisms also, which are decomposed by phosphates solubilizing bacteria, also release phosphorus. Just like how the carbon is also released by the decomposition activity, the phosphorus released by the decomposition activity, because of the phosphate solubilizing bacteria, they are going to metabolize and release the phosphorus. But the only difference between the major difference between the carbon cycle and phosphorus cycle is that there is no respiratory release of phosphorus. So carbon dioxide is also involved very significantly in the respiration process. Here we do not find, in the case of phosphorus, we do not find the respiratory release of the phosphorus, right? So the biotic components, though they have been involved in this nutrient cycling of the phosphorus, but not for the purpose of respiration, right? Now you can look at this simple diagram. This is a very important diagram, maybe asked for 3 or 5 marks. It's a very simple diagram which completely explains the entire phosphorus cycle. Idanna nimage explanation sahita kelbodu athwa diagram matra kelbodu. If they are asking you both explanation and diagram, then it may be for 5 marks. If they only ask you the model of the phosphorus cycle, you just have to write this one, simple phosphorus cycle. So let us study this. So you know that the consumers, right? Consumers, they are going to die and they are going to become detritus. Even the producers, and they are going to die, they will become the detritus. Detritus means what? You have already learned in the process of decomposition. It is a dead organic matter which will undergo the process of decomposition, right? So after the decomposition, the phosphate ions which are forming the soil solution, which are present in the soil solution, they will be uptaken by the producers. Once again, that will be entering into the consumers. So producers, by uptaking or absorbing the phosphates from the soil, they not only metabolize these in their body, but they will also make it available for the consumers. So this cycle continues like this. Right? And a part of it, as I told you just now, a part of this soil solution, the phosphate present in the soil solution, a part of it will be running off to the deeper layers of the soil, which will become unavailable phosphate nutrient. That will become the bedrock, it is called as. That is going to become the bedrock, and the phosphate present in that particular bedrock will not be available for the plant body to absorb. So that is what this runoff refers to, right? So the runoff phosphates, after thousands of years, when they form the rock minerals, once again these minerals, because of these rocks, they are going to weathering. Because of the weathering of these rocks, once again the soil formation takes place. The phosphates present in these, once again they are released and they will join in the soil solution. So this cycle, once again they are absorbed by the producers. So the same thing process, or the same process, it goes on continuing. It goes on recycling in this way, right? So this is a very it's a quite simple model and also quite simple cycle, right? So you need to remember some important points about the phosphorus, right, which can be asked, maybe like they are the biological, they are the constituents of the biological membranes and all. So they are used by the animals mainly to make shells, teeth and bones, right? So, and phosphorus is basically found, and the reservoir of the phosphorus is nothing but the rock. That is why it is called a sedimentary cycle, right? These main important facts you have to remember, and also this is very important for you, right? Try to remember this. So these are the two different biogeochemical cycles or nutrient cycles that we have learnt in this chapter. And now we are going to study the last, before going to the last part, we have to study the differences between the carbon cycle and phosphorus cycle. The major differences, so which we have already covered until now. Look, let us try to differentiate between these two, and this can be also an important 2 or 3 mark question. Note it down. The first difference. So obviously it's a gaseous cycle. This is sedimentary cycle because it is the carbon is present in the form of carbon dioxide in the air, and phosphorus is present in the form of phosphates in the rock. So based on the reservoir, we are going to differentiate them as gaseous and sedimentary cycles. So the second difference is that respiratory release by organisms adds up to carbon dioxide pool in the atmosphere. CO2 pool ige respiratory release are being adding, they are going to add up the carbon dioxide to the carbon dioxide pool in the atmosphere, whereas in this case there are no respiratory release. Atmospheric inputs through rainfall is high. Yake? I told you the water cycle is in close association with what? The carbon cycle, because the oceanic surface, which is covering up to 70% of the earth's surface, will have around 71% of the carbon that is dissolved in the ocean. Alva? In the previous class we have studied that. That is why atmospheric inputs through rainfall. So rainfall is connected to the hydrological cycle. That is why, so input of the carbon dioxide is high through rainfall, whereas here atmospheric input through the rainfall is very less when compared to carbon, right? Exchange of CO2 with organisms mainly occurs in the gaseous state, because obviously it's a gaseous cycle, right? Whereas here there is no gaseous exchange here, right? Because these are present in the form of phosphate ions in the soil. Because of the weathering of the rock, the soil solution will have the phosphate ions, and they will directly enter into the plant body. From the plant body, when the herbivores, herbivores, the consumers, primary consumers, when they are going to feed upon the plants, so these phosphate ions are going to enter into the body of the animals, right? So like this, these are the major differences between the carbon cycle and phosphorus cycle. Now we are at the last portion or last part of this chapter. So ecosystem services. So services provided by the ecosystem, services provided by the nature, they are generally called as ecosystem services, right? It can be anything. The product that we gain from the nature, maybe in the form of any naturally obtained product it can be, or maybe indirectly obtained product, right? The wood or the oxygen or temperature, right? Or maybe the soil, maybe water. All these things are the services provided to us by the nature or by the ecosystem, right? So all these products of the ecosystem processes are named as, that means products or the processes, they are named as what? Ecosystem services. For example, you can consider what? Air and water, and even the droughts and floods. So maybe they are antagonistic here, but still they are the products of the nature or services of the nature. Cycles, nutrient cycling, it can be fertile soil, it can be wildlife habitats, maintenance of biodiversity, pollination, right? So everything, almost everything that we find in the nature will be considered as what? It is the ecosystem services anta kariteve alva. So whatever it can be aesthetic pleasure, it can be cultural and spiritual values also, right? So there is a ecologist here by name Robert Constanza. Robert Constanza, you may have to remember the name of this person. Yakent helidre, it is him for the first time who tried to calculate or who tried to put a price tag onto these ecological services. See, we are getting all these ecosystem services for free, completely for free, without paying a single rupee. Right? But this person, when we are using it, when we are taking it for granted, we should be aware that if we are going to put a price tag on it, how much we would have to pay for it. Right? So he and his colleagues, they have given a very recent report by putting a price tag on the services provided by the ecosystem, and these researchers, they have put an average price tag of $33 trillion a year. ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ $33 trillion ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ on these fundamental ecosystem services. If at all, if you want to get oxygen, if you are paying for oxygen, if you are paying for water, if you are paying for soil, if you are paying for the trees, if you are paying for everything that is present in the nature, so then all of us human beings will have to pay $33 trillion in 1 year. Right? So which is the nearly twice the value of the global gross national product, GNP ಅಂತ ಏನು ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ನೇಷನಿನ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಡೊಮೆಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ GDP ಅನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಟ್ವೈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಗಳದ್ದು ಒಂದು ವರ್ಷದ ಆನ್ಯುವಲ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ಡೊಮೆಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ $18 trillion. Whereas here, ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ almost double ಇದೆ ಇದು ಅಲ್ವಾ? So this will be almost double of this. That means, so altogether we are producing only how much? $18 trillion. It is impossible for us to pay $33 trillion in a year only for ecosystem services. And what about others? What about other services we are getting paid? We are actually paying for today, right? That means, so it is very highly valuable, and also we should try to understand the value of it, and also we have to maintain them, or we have to have in order to have a sustainable association with the nature, we should be aware of it. So a few more calculations regarding that. Out of the total cost of various ecosystem services, here the soil formation accounts for about 50%. Soil formation ಗೆ 50% of this amount is required only for soil formation. ಅದರಂತ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ, right? And the other contributions include like recreational activities or nutrient cycling. They can have a less price tag on them, that is about 10% of each of these. So nutrient cycling ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಥವಾ recreation ಇರಬಹುದು, each of them they may require up to 10%. The cost of climate regulation and habitat for wildlife can be as much as 6% each. Wildlife ಮತ್ತು habitat ಏನಿದೆ, so regulation of wildlife ಮತ್ತು habitat ಗೆ it may require 6% of the total estimated amount. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಅರೌಂಡ್ $33 million ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, right? So this is the end of the chapter, and so we will meet in the next chapter, that is the biodiversity and conservation. That is the next chapter in the same unit called ecology. Thank you.